ChatGPT, hello.
Hello, Xiaoqin. How's it going? Anything new or exciting on your end?
Actually, I'm doing homework this year, and it's about having conversation with you about logistics and transportation, about
That sounds interesting. What specific aspect of logistics or transportation are you focusing on? Maybe I can help.
I've been confused a little bit. I went to Kaohsiung and Tainan this week, and my friend drove car, and we were looking for a parking spot, and he parked at the yellow line. I remember yellow line is not okay to park. Do you know that?
Yes, you're right. In many places, a yellow line usually indicates a no parking zone. Parking in such areas can lead to fines or your car being towed. It's always good to check local parking rules to avoid any trouble. Did your friend get any ticket?
No. And I wanted to correct that, and he said red line is the one that must be parked, and yellow line is okay.
I understand the confusion. Typically, in many places, a solid yellow line often means no parking or stopping is allowed. However, rules can vary depending on the country or city. In some places, a yellow line might have a specific meaning, like loading zones or restrictions during certain hours. It's always best to follow local signage and regulations to avoid any issues. If you're unsure, it's safer to look for another parking spot.
So do you know the law about it?
In Taiwan, the traffic rules are quite specific. Generally, a solid yellow line along the side of the road means no parking or stopping is allowed. This is to ensure traffic flow and safety. If you see a yellow line, it's best not to park there. For loading zones or specific parking areas, there may be additional signs or markings to guide you. Always pay attention to local signage to avoid fines or towing.
And what about red line?
In Taiwan, a red line along the roadside typically indicates a no parking or no stopping zone. Parking in areas marked with a red line is generally prohibited and can result in fines or your vehicle being towed. The red line is used to ensure that certain areas remain clear for traffic flow, emergency vehicles, or other specific purposes. Always check for signs and markings to avoid parking in restricted areas.
And what's the difference of yellow line and red line?
The difference between a yellow line and a red line in Taiwan mainly relates to parking regulations. Yellow line generally indicates a no parking or no stopping zone. It's used to ensure traffic flow and safety, and parking in such areas can lead to fines or your vehicle being towed. Red line typically signifies a stricter restriction compared to the yellow line. It usually means no parking or stopping is allowed at all times, and violations can lead to fines or towing. The red line often applies to areas that need to remain completely clear, such as near intersections, emergency access points, or bus stops. Always pay close attention to road markings and signage to ensure you're following local parking regulations.
So both lines cannot be parked.
That's correct. Both yellow and red lines generally indicate areas where parking is not allowed in Taiwan. Parking in these zones can lead to fines or your vehicle being towed. It's always best to look for designated parking areas or check local signage to avoid any issues.
But I remember one of the lines can be parked for without parking. Which line is it?
In Taiwan, a yellow line often allows for brief stops, like picking up or dropping off passengers, typically for a short duration, around 5 minutes. However, it's important to check local signage as rules can vary by location and specific circumstances. A red line, on the other hand, usually does not allow any stopping or parking at any time. Always be sure to pay close attention to the signs posted in the area to follow the correct parking rules.
But there are yellow lines on the roads, and that can be crossed for 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. On some roads in Taiwan, a yellow line can indeed indicate a temporary stopping zone, where you can park briefly, such as for picking up or dropping off passengers. This is usually allowed for a short period, like around 5 minutes. However, the exact rules can vary depending on the specific area and local regulations. Always check for any additional signs or information to make sure you're following the correct parking guidelines.
So I understand that, because when my friend told me yellow line can be purple, back then I didn't understand that. I think I misunderstood that.
It's totally understandable. Traffic rules can be confusing sometimes, especially with different markings and regulations. It's great that you're clarifying things. If you have any more questions about traffic rules or anything else, feel free to ask.
I have some questions, and when my friend wants to
Of course.
let you know, like, I don't know what's that in English. There,
回转
yeah, 回转, do you know that?
Yes, 回转 means U-turn in English. It's when a vehicle turns around to go back in the opposite direction. If you have any questions about making a U-turn or anything else, feel free to ask.
I don't know which situation.
You can make a U-turn in situations where it's safe and legal to do so. Here are some common situations. 1. Designated U-turn areas. Look for signs indicating that U-turns are allowed. 2. Intersections. Some intersections allow U-turns, often marked with signs or specific lanes. 3. Residential areas. In residential streets, you can sometimes make a U-turn if there's enough space and it's safe to do so. Always check for signs and make sure it's safe and legal before making a U-turn.
I just started having recently, and it's hard for me to actually drive off the road because it's really scary.
Congratulations on getting your driver's license. It's completely normal to feel a bit nervous when you start driving. Take it one step at a time, practice in less busy areas, and gradually build your confidence. You're doing great, and with time, it will get easier. If you have any questions or need tips, feel free to ask. Of course, here are some tips to help you feel more comfortable driving. 1. Start slow. Practice driving in less busy areas or during off-peak hours to build your confidence. 2. Practice parking. Spend extra time practicing parking in different scenarios, like parallel parking and parking in tight spaces. 3. Stay calm. If you feel anxious, take deep breaths and focus on the road. Remember, it's okay to take your time and drive at a comfortable speed. 4. Use your mirrors. Always check your mirrors and blind spots before changing lanes or making turns. 5. Plan your route. Before you drive, plan your route and familiarize yourself with the area to reduce stress. Take it step by step, and you'll get more comfortable with time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you ever need more tips or have any questions, feel